and a very warm welcome to the ninth edition of Kohler Bold Art, powered by Pecha Kucha. What started off as a small platform to exchange views amongst the design community has now grown into an annual event of national scale, where the best of minds in architecture and design industry present their views in Pecha Kucha style. In 2020, we were lucky to have the Women's Day special Pecha Kucha before COVID took over the world. This year, we are back with five of the biggest names in architecture who have inspired thousands of youngsters to pursue architecture and interior design as a vocation. But before we begin, a small refresher on Pecha Kucha. In Japanese, it means chit-chat, and was invented by two Japanese architects who knew that it's almost impossible to stop architects once you have their presentations on screen and microphone in their hands. So each architect gets 400 seconds to speak and 20 slides each. Each slide will automatically transition to the next after 20 seconds. So everyone has a time and they have to time their delivery to perfection. This year, the chosen theme for the event is Even Footing for Eves. While the world over, there is a conversation about women not getting their due, there are some, on the other hand, who, by circumstances and sheer grit, have gone far beyond this struggle. For them, it is not about getting even. In fact, even is normal and maybe even boring for some. And so they go beyond to create the uneven. Today, 8 outstanding women will be presenting their ideas before us. Amrita Guha, Kyana Patel, Rupande Shah, Usha Rangarajan, Viraj Patki, Gul Panag, Aditi Mittal, and Sonal Singh. We are also being joined by top architects and design experts watching this event live, along with students of some top architectural colleges in the country. So let's hit it off, starting with Sonal Singh. She's a senior product designer at Kohler, leading faucet category and working towards solutions to aid gracious living with leading aesthetics and innovation. She has worked in multidisciplinary fields from home appliances to home lighting solutions. Her presentation is Uneven to Even. She wants to use the uneven in her life to work towards creating an evenness for the younger designers entering into the field as interns. With this, she aims at creating equal opportunities for the younger lot of women so that they can flourish in the field. Over to you, Sonal, for the presentation.
Yes, I kick hard. So when I was little in a karate class once, a few older boys asked me, "Don't you have enough girlfriends to play dolls with?" That made me question, was I not being normal? That was my first experience of being told what I could and couldn't do. So me in that class was the doings of my mother. I'm thankful that she encouraged me, or sometimes literally dragged me out of my bed to all kinds of activities under the sun. I used to wonder, what was she preparing me for? She is a big part of the reason how I live my life on my terms. Growing up, we moved a lot. That meant different states, different city. It meant new schools, new friends every time. Searching for a sense of belonging, I started looking inwards for a sense of stability, and art gave me that solace and comfort. I knew I wanted a career in the creative field early on. I was quite fascinated with the prospect of being able to create with my own hands, and that drove me to pursue mechanical engineering, to everyone's surprise, and then a design degree later to connect me back to my passion for art and expression. Every time I told someone I was studying engineering, I used to be greeted with a look of amazement with the subtext, "Why that?" I felt like I don't have to justify my choices and hope such reactions reduce with time. I felt I was stepping into a world where women didn't belong, but I was too driven to care. After college, not having enough female role models in the field to look up to, I didn't know what my career could look like. I let my intuition guide me and forged my own path. I got a job in a small firm. We were two designers, we worked hard, learned a lot, and just had a lot of fun. So on to the next job, bigger firm with a bigger design studio. From being the only female designer in a team of two, I was now one of the two female designers in a global team of 200 plus. It influenced me and I realized I was unconsciously making what my male colleagues liked. To my surprise, the implicit gender biases and expectations are even more evident in bigger firms. I had to work hard to be recognized as an equal player as my male counterparts. I was basically back in the boys' club. I remember being overlooked if a technical discussion was going on, and often being mansplained if I inquired. As the only female in most circumstances, I learned to speak up, not just for myself, but also for all the women who were not represented. Women just have to show up. We can bring a complete different perspective by just being us. I'm learning every day this world is designed for men, from medicines, temperature regulation in offices, iPhone sizes to car seatbelts. It's interesting to note that until about 2011, crash test dummies represented the average man, making cars quite unsafe for women. We are used to thinking of men as the default sex and women, elderly, and the physically challenged as special cases. Another recent example is the spacesuit sizes with NASA, which recently led to cancellation of NASA's all-female spacewalk. Although women are the major buyers of consumer products, let me tell you that men design most of these products, including products for women, often with zero representation in design or in leadership teams. It is still assumed by most men that women will purchase a product if it's colorful or covered in flowers. Pink tools, including this fascinating pen, which is basically a regular pen in pink, is a perfect example of where the focus lies, on the superficial and not substance. This has made me practice being inclusive in design and also focus on designing for women. It is how I empower women. In my work, I've focused on their needs and offered solutions to make their lives easier by intuitive integration of technology with thoughtful features. This chiller tray, for example, with articulating door gives easy access as the road retracts when pulled out just a little bit. We reached this solution considering women's reach and inability to access the storage space in regular refrigerators. I strongly believe that design shapes culture and values. As designers, we have the ability to challenge gender stereotypes. At Kohler, we value individuality and expression. We aspire to make inclusive design addressing today's challenges by balancing art and technology. For Kohler's line of luxury vessels, we wanted to experiment with Indian art. I questioned what luxury meant to women today. And stemming from a need of perspective, she looks for a deeper meaning and a connection behind the product. I wanted to create an emotional engagement with the product by storytelling to evoke a sense of joy and wonder. This was also a great opportunity to bring to light our folk and traditional art, rich in storytelling, and the unknown faces behind them by marrying them to our products. I looked for authentic folk and traditional artists inspired by their stories. Together, we worked on an imagery which resonated with the modern audience. We tried to stay authentic to their vision and voices as much as we could. This has culminated in Kohler's very first India Artist Edition. So I'm often asked for advice from students, especially younger women, uncertain about their careers. These are the same doubts women grappled with when I started about 10 years ago. Will they ever be as good as men? I would tell them and my younger self in that karate class that we've been conditioned to believe a certain way. These can be unlearned if we learn to believe in ourselves and be ourselves.
Many thanks for that presentation, Sonal. I'd like to ask you a quick question now. What was the first thing, Sonal, that came to your mind when this theme was thrown at you?
So hi, yeah. So my take on the theme was I wanted to use all the uneven experiences in my life and the uneven I've created in my life to create unevenness for the young female designer who's going to enter this field and have all the equal opportunities as any man entering the field.
Absolutely, absolutely. That really should be the bottom line. In fact, that should be the endeavor of each and every woman to be able to create something better for those coming behind us. Many thanks, Sona. Let's now move to our participants, and we are starting with Usha Rangarajan. Usha is one of the most renowned architects from Pune, starting her journey 28 years back after her degree from Anna University. In fact, she established the Landmark Design Group in 1993. The team at LDG comprises architects, interior designers, 3D visualizers, and architectural assistants. From LDG, client aspirations and client interface has always played a pivotal role in the design process. From a small, steadily growing studio, Landmark Design Group has seen the evolution from handling single-family bungalow projects to now bringing the first ever green off-grid government building in India into existence. Let's now go down to how Usha has envisaged her theme today. And it's very interesting because it's for the first time ever in Pecha Kucha format that poetry is being used to deliver a message. A soft, humble, and patient perspective, this presentation will capture the journey of the speaker. Her stance is that it is the journey that is most important. Make the best of the even or uneven, whatever appears on your path, and cherish the journey. Over to Usha now for her presentation.
Don't I rue that day when I said yes, okay, to speak on even to uneven? Wonder who thought that up? Oh God in heaven, where do I start? Even or uneven? With my life ever so mundane, never rocked ever, not a single hurricane. Where do I look for a thought so profound that I can hold you, the audience, spellbound? These old grey cells of mine simply refuse to shine. All they seem to abide by is the calculation of carpet area, ground coverage, etc., etc. You know, it's all about the FSI. Yet aren't I so grateful, thankful for a journey quite uneventful, that the riptides that sometimes had my boat gently rocking were entirely of my own making. No distant goals, no lodestar, no burning ambition leading me afar. No desire for instant gratification, a job well done, deep satisfaction. Oh, isn't that a really wide grin? That's me 20 years ago. These cute little villas you see there, in a nice neighborhood, that's all that we designed and helped to build. Life was good, even, content, passive. Yet, step out did I on occasion, based entirely on sudden intuition. The seed was sown, and I ventured well out of my comfort zone to learn of things yet unknown. And then it happened. Way past my 40, a green wave caught me and just swept me up in its wake, and a smooth sailing even life I chose to willingly forsake. With much trepidation, I sought a master's education. Thirsty for knowledge, I went back to college, stepped past its hallowed gates with 20-somethings for classmates. Burning the midnight oil, never did I ever so toil, and during an exceptionally bad viva, oof, things would come to quite a boil. Those recurring nightmares of an exam hall, unfamiliar questions holding you in their thrall, they became inescapably true. Just armed with pencil box and ruler, I hadn't the slightest clue ever. And you know what happened? 2 years of life just flew by. Like a sponge was I, eager to absorb it all, as a new world of awareness gave me a most emphatic, reverberating clarion call. You're right, that's me. All I had was a pebble. With it, I made a little ripple. Destiny conspired, put me on a wave crest that I simply hadn't aspired. And that opened a world of opportunity. All of a sudden came projects unbidden, a kind of work we hadn't ever done. Sustainable buildings, each and every one, were simply, absolutely a whole world of fun. Our tiny studio was thrust in a bigger game. We stepped out rather meekly, peeking from our little frame. Though once emboldened, we set forth to claim our own very green domain. By now, things had gotten rolling, and then the moment came when, stumbling into the limelight, we actually got our own glorious 15 seconds of fame. This was not us though. The scramble for awards soon did phase. I'd never been too keen in the first place. Never intended to be in any sort of race. I wonder, was there a glass ceiling somewhere, or does it lurk above, right there? Was I oblivious of it, unaware, or does one simply not care? It's been 32 years, I suddenly realize, surely I can say something old and wise. Loads of sincerity, a dollop of talent, a dash of candor will definitely do. Roll with the uneven and do it every now and then. When I look back a jot, I see I've traveled much more than I sought. The distant horizon beckons, what it holds I can't reckon. Though right now I can't but help a little smile, one for every trodden mile.
Usha, what a wonderful way of communicating your stance over there. It was a pleasure watching and hearing it. Usha, if I may, I would like to know from you, what has been your biggest learning experience and what's your plan ahead?
So the biggest learning is that learning almost never ends. and it shouldn't stop. So, especially because we're in the field of sustainable design, even things like how the sun moves in the sky or how the wind flows, how the earth conducts heat, all of this can actually become inspiration for your design. And things like science, geology, engineering, technology, all of these have an important role to play in design. And increasingly, the design process itself is becoming more knowledge based and collaborative. So every day is full of learning.
Absolutely. Many thanks, Usha. We'll move on to our next outstanding personality of today, Viraj Patki. Viraj is an alumnus of the Academy of Architecture and Bombay International School. Viraj has developed a reputation of being an architect who consistently pushes the boundaries of design for PG Patki architects. Her work encompasses varied fields of design, from large scale urban projects to interior spaces. This breadth and versatility has come to be associated with PG Patki, a firm with a proud legacy of over 50 years. As for the theme, Virat says, neither even nor uneven. It's my way. There isn't a glass ceiling. Define your own path. Face the even and the uneven of this path with courage and confidence. Over to you, Viraj, for your presentation.
I've always ever done what I wanted to, what I needed to do. Breaking a glass ceiling never crossed my mind. So let's not give anyone the power to turn our sky into a glass ceiling. Good evening, everyone. History is filled with examples of great women who have challenged the norm, forged their own path, and inspired us. For me, I'm truly inspired by the women I see around me every day. The nurturing of my mother, the determination of my team, the grit of the fisherwoman down the street. There's so much to learn from so many of them. We've come a long way as women. We're securing roles and privileges once reserved for men. We've learned to find our strength in our own way. And now, it is crucial for us to support one another and break even more stereotypes and redefine what it means to be a woman today. Being a woman is my strength. I feel closely, live intuitively, do passionately. My ability to see potential, whether in a person or a space, often defines my journey. I know there'll be obstacles, but if I do not take chances, how will I ever do everything I've ever wanted to? How will I grow? So it's never been about even or uneven. I've only made those choices that I'm comfortable with and that I believe will empower me to be nothing but myself. Fitting in is so overrated. So why not just stand out? Traditionally, architecture was male dominant. Today, we see a healthy balance. I'm confident the future is female. I have been fortunate to be surrounded by people who let me believe that I could do anything I wanted to, be anything my heart desired, and I chose design. Choice in itself is a great privilege, and the ones we make may not necessarily fall into clearly defined categories of even or uneven. And it is inevitable that some decisions will blur these lines, but that is okay, as long as it was your choice. Because once you choose the path that you intrinsically believe in, all your hurdles will become insignificant. You will be able to cope with both the evens and unevens with equal gusto and create an environment in which you thrive, in which you find your peace. In my own life, my calm comes from chaos. I revel in it. Like Bob Dylan said, chaos is my friend. I find that I'm at my productive best amidst the hustle and bustle, juggling a million different things to keep multiple balls in the air. And it is in this hustle and bustle where I thrive that I've learned to recognize the blind spots, to see the things that most ignore, and to find beauty in the seemingly simple, like the color in a bloom or a painted window, or a etching on a desk, or simply a doodle. My designs reflect the same simplicity. They reflect the same honesty. I don't have one single style. My designs reflect the people they're built for. The attempt has never been to create or tread the even or the uneven. Each design is unique. Each design has its own story. I have never let my mind be bound by stereotypes. There cannot be only one answer for anything. There cannot be only one way to do anything. But there'll always be a way that feels right. As women, or me as a woman, I strongly believe in what I feel. It helps me create the unexpected. I've learned to welcome opposing points of view. I've learned to listen. I've learned that great design is only going to come through teamwork. The clashing of healthy viewpoints, the merging of the even and the uneven. As an architect, I strive for versatility. My designs must be a reason, a response, a solution. It cannot be about personal preferences or unsupported opinions. My designs must be distinctive. They must have their own individuality, like all women have. They're strong, tough, resilient, capable, dependable, accountable, graceful, beautiful, caring. What makes us different is our strength, not our weakness. We need to flaunt it, not hide it. In my life, as in my design, the lines between the even and uneven are blurred. I'm a professional who's a mother, a daughter, a wife, a sister, a aunt, a friend, but most often feel like a trapeze artist doing the balancing act. But I have found a way in this madness, a way that works for me, a way that works for us as a unit. No, I don't have a degree in multitasking. I've learned to prioritize. Prioritize not what's on my schedule, rather schedule my priorities. I've learned to say no to what is not important. It's my way of balancing between the even and the uneven. I've never shied away to ask for help. I am aware I'm not the only person who shaped my daughters into who they are. It takes a village when you're a working parent. I'm most thankful for the influence their father, grandparents, caretakers, teachers bring to their life. I truly celebrate it. In my journey, I've realized the value of pacing myself. I'm not sprinting, rather running a marathon. I want to enjoy the process, the journey, and reach for the stars through the already shattered glass ceilings. I want everything, neither even nor uneven, but my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do. I saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much, much more. I did it my way.
And my way requires that bit of self-confidence as well, doesn't it, Viraj? Many thanks for that presentation, Viraj. But my question to you is, again, with regards to the stance that you have taken. Does my way put that much more pressure on a person to deliver? Can it lead to a burnout?
Hi, everyone. No, Maha, I don't think it will lead to a burnout simply because you are choosing what you want to do. You are charting your course. You're pacing yourself. And like I said in my presentation, choice itself is a privilege. The minute you've made that choice for yourself, I think you can make it all happen.
All right, that's an interesting take there. Also a learning for so many women. I really like the point that you made, Viraj, about being able to say no to things that should not be on your priority. That's a very important point that has been made there by Viraj. Let me now move on to our next speaker and the person who will be presenting the PPT next. That's Rupande Shah. Rupande Shah and Associates, a boutique design that is a firm based out of Kolkata, is committed to excellence in customized design projects. Rupande Shah and Associates are strongly motivated with contemporary, imaginative, and client-specific designs. They value beauty, efficiency, logic, and honest expression of materials combined with clear lines and forms to create designs that are individual for each project and which allow the inhabitants to value and enjoy their spaces. Rupande's theme and the stance that she's taken is of coexistence of even and uneven, fighting through perceptions and looking beyond the regular to view the coexistence of both even and uneven. Rupande, over to you now.
Take a clear look at this gentleman and list out the first 5 professions that come to your mind. The first 5 professions that you think he would be involved with. Take a moment and make a note of them. And you will be surprised what happens. The first reaction that most people gave me was that, oh, he's a rock star, or maybe an artist, a DJ, or a sculptor, something into the creative field. But no, he's a doctor. You know, when from the time that a little girl is born and she's old enough to start playing, a beautiful doll is given to her and she starts thinking that she wants to be like that doll. She's the epitome of beauty. She wants to be slim, fair, pretty, long head, and everything that the doll is. Unfortunately, society has conditioned us to think in a particular manner. We, from very early stage, form compartments in our lives. Right versus wrong, good versus bad, evil and good. And we have been doing this forever and ever. But is it really so? Why cannot both coexist? I believe coexistence is the very essence of life. It's the very essence of our human nature, and we have seen it in the entire universe. Light cannot exist without darkness, heat without cold, day without night, and either one is a parameter for judging the other. So that coexistence of all opposites is actually an integral part of existence itself. Then why do we see things from a single perspective? We tend to see things the way we perceive it. We tend to focus on a linear problem method, solving method, and we try to see things only from a single perspective. But is it really necessary to do so? Some of our life decisions have been driven by materialistic values, by societal pressures, and clearly have overlooked seeing the whole as it should be. Choices which seemed appropriate at a particular point may not be appropriate for the day-to-day. And we have overlooked seeing a lot of totality. Historically, as a society, whenever we have taken major decisions, it has unfortunately not always been in the right direction. And it has not been a balanced decision, which has been detrimental to many in many, many ways. All this is coming from our brains, correct? We have made little boxes in our brains where we have compartmentalized things, right, wrong, good, bad, and we put people, situations, circumstances, everything in these tiny little compartments which rule our mind and our decisions. But for me, I think it's very important to make these bridges, to connect the two opposites in such a way that the bridge is made between the two opposites, that we can see things from different various perspectives. Now, this is a very cliched slide. You can see that there are two different ways to see everything. Each situation has different perspectives of looking at the problem. And to be able to achieve the solution, it's important to look at things from both perspectives. And it's only then will we be able to see a problem in totality. Well, for me, what works, works. Look at this young Indian bride. She's chosen to wear comfortable, sensible footwear to be able to enjoy her own wedding. It's something that should be thought about. She has not compromised on aesthetics, but at the same time, she's kept functionality on place. Look at our country and the food that we eat. It's filled with all different tastes, smells, textures. We have sour, sweet, bland, spicy, everything in one plate of food. Now, what is even and what is uneven in this? When food can exist with opposites, why can't we? In the food chain, the snake and the frog, the bee, all three are part of it. Some people see the snake as being on the wrong side, but the snake is a very important part in trying to keep a balance in the ecosystem of life. And that is what he has to do. It's time we open up these rose-tinted glasses that we wear and try and see things the way we actually should be. Seeing things from different perspectives to be able to find design solutions and design decisions in the right way. This fantastic installation that has been done in Milan for a particular fair, it's a fantastic combination of the old and the new together. It's contextual, it is applicable to today's time, and it is serving the purpose that it was made for. And who are we to judge whether this is right or wrong? This piece of architecture, where there is a brilliant synergy of the old and the new, traditional building methods compared to technology, contemporary architecture versus traditional architecture, and look what a fantastic language of design has evolved. The Louvre is another piece of architecture that is that way. In life, all of us wear a lot of masks. We have different masks. One of maybe a very disciplined professional, a loving mother, a friend to a loving sister, and maybe a fantastic soulmate to our lifelong companion. But what do? We use these masks for different occasions. It is important for us to be able to see things in the right way, open our minds and not just see from the front, left or right, but open up the back of our minds, which is where most of the solution to problems are there. It's better to open the back and see the solution the way it is supposed to be.
Just a quick note that Rupande's presentation was pre-recorded as she's traveling. Rupande, totally understand the busy schedule you have, and many thanks despite all that for joining us here. One quick question to you, Rupande. Were you ever looked through rose-tinted glasses of perception in your area of work?
Of course. I think it began very early in my life when I decided to take architecture as a career. And I had some family members, in fact, scoff at that idea, saying that, oh, a female architect, you're never going to last in the field. But I did prove them wrong, and I went on to do not just my bachelor's, but my master's. And when I started my practice in Calcutta, which has a very strong old craftsmanship group of people who work there, they saw this 20-year plus woman coming into the field and try and teach them new technology or new methods of building. And at those points also, there were a lot of blocks that came across my way. And it was a process, and it was a struggle to try and tell them and try and prove to myself and to prove to them that, you don't have to think that just because we are women, that we cannot be better thinkers than men are. So it did take a little bit of an effort at that point. But I think by now, most women have carved their way and made a space for themselves. I'm talking about 28, 30 years ago. So I think people's perspective of our profession has changed a lot today. And I'm quite thankful for it. And this journey has taught me a lot.
Absolutely. Way to go, Rupande. Many thanks for speaking with us, joining us, and bringing to us that wonderful presentation of yours. Our next guest is witty, smart, and she makes us laugh. But most importantly, she makes us think about issues that we even hesitate about talking in public. As a result, issues that tend to get buried deep under layers of social niceties are brought out by her. Aditi Mittal is a stand up comedian, one of the first few women in India to take to stand up comedy professionally. Aditi carved a place for herself with her bold take on taboo issues. We are privileged to be joined by Aditi today on the event. Aditi, over to you.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to begin by wishing everyone a very, very happy Women's Day. And by the way, tonight's theme is to go from even to uneven, right? Because the truth is, the world is uneven, but you don't want to get even with anyone because even is boring. My take is that we should have a new kind of uneven. Hear me out. Every time someone talks about Women's Day, someone will always show up and say, okay, Women's Day is fine, but what about Men's Day? The answer to that is there is a Men's Day, and it's every day. But there's actually a Men's Day, which is on November 19th, which is also known as World Toilet Day. Now, don't get angry at me for that because I just looked it up. I'm pretty sure that even the ones to decide which one was Women's Day and which one was Men's Day and which one was World Toilet Day was decided by a group of men somewhere. The only thing, by the way, common between me and my husband, between my husband and a toilet, is that I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't have to be the one to flush every single time. I swear, I'm like a Sherlock Holmes water boy for him right now. When it's Limca, I'm like, theek hai. When it's Fanta, I'm like, Aji, sunte ho, thoda pani pee lo na. Though it helps very much when you have nice bathroom fixtures from Kohler. People also worry these days that women's days become too commercialized. It's just all about the sales. Ye lo, 1,000 rupees ki waxing pe, 3 rupees ki choot. Ye lo, buy one sock, get the other sock free. I'm thinking, why not? See, because on Women's Day, we might get a 3% discount on products. But for the rest of the year, we get a 30% discount on salaries. So Women's Day discount to banta hi hai. And let's face it, it's expensive to be a woman today. Because women are considered a liability at source. क्योंकि they say ना, ओए हाय, लड़की लड़की तो पराया धन होती है. क्योंकि लड़की और लोन दोनों में इंटरेस्ट ज्यादा होता है. टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन समझ में नहीं आते और हम बस मैच्योरिटी के लिए रुके रहते हैं कि लास्ट पेमेंट कब होगी और शादी कब करवाएंगे. There's so many things that women have to buy, like that are recommended for women. Women will have to spend money on martial arts classes. Everyone wants women to do martial arts classes. मतलब वो पर्स छीनने आ रहा है. यहाँ पे me doing tai chi with my imaginary ball and taking a deep breath is not going to be an adequate response. उसके पास चाकू है, वो मेरी imaginary ball भी लेके चला जाएगा. There's that saying, it's like taking a stick to a gunfight. This is like taking a safety pin to a nuclear war. But nahi. Girls must learn martial arts. Maybe we could spend our money on gender sensitization classes for both genders, but nahi. It's martial arts for the girls. Here's the thing. We women can become Akshay Kumar, but we still know in our minds that retaliating to these things still has consequences. I did martial arts. I'm telling you, it doesn't seem like, but I've done martial arts. Theory में मैं जैकी चैन हूँ, लेकिन प्रैक्टिकल में मैं शिन चैन हूँ. इसीलिए ना लड़कियां ज्यादा से ज्यादा आर्ट्स की स्टूडेंट्स होती हैं, क्योंकि उन्हें मार्शल आर्ट्स भी सीखना पड़ता है और मैरिटल आर्ट्स भी सीखना पड़ता है. Then there's of course the added cost of pepper spray. Now, has anyone bought pepper spray? Because the cheapest one I found was for 325 rupees for such a small bottle, and it expires in 3 months. And the thing is, pepper spray is one of those things that you only want to use in emergencies. And those are the kind of emergencies you really don't want to happen. Every time you buy one, you're praying कि हाय भगवान कुछ बुरा ना हो, लेकिन अगर कुछ बुरा हो तो 3 महीने में हो जाए. Really, if you use it, paise barbad. If you don't use it, paise barbad. I don't understand the logic of putting pepper spray on your harasser. I'm like, इसके ऊपर हम नमक नींबू मिर्ची क्यों मार रहे हैं? ये harasser है कि भेलपुरी? And the worst is, if your harasser is wearing sunglasses or specs, your defense costs 325. Their defense costs 100 rupees. So who's got the net loss here? If I ever use pepper spray on someone, I know half the women that I'm friends with will be like, nee, 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 sorry, I didn't mean it. Aapko lagi to nahi? Then, of course, this is a topic that's very close to every woman's heart. If I had a time machine, I would not go back in time to meet Mahatma Gandhi or Julius Caesar. I would go to stop the first woman in history who ever did waxing. I would be like, बहन नहीं, तुझे पता नहीं तू कितनी पीढ़ियों के लिए हानिकारक होने वाली है. Because apparently even women are a work in progress, right? So even Katrina Kaif is like, no, no, मेरे हाथों पे तो बाल है. I'm like, यार अगर Katrina Kaif is not perfect, then who is? Human women, by the way, are the only animals in the animal kingdom for whom removing their hair is a sign of attraction. I'm saying keep your hair for protection from the weather, of course. And maybe if you kept your hair, then you wouldn't have to go for martial arts classes. But they say that we are living in an uneven world. But making it even doesn't mean that abhi nahi mardon ko bhi waxing karni chahiye, because that's really unfair. But that's the world we live in right now. See, whenever a Bollywood actor shows off his abs, in a movie, most women are thinking like, wow, it must have been so difficult to get those abs. And most men are thinking, oh my God, uska waxing karte time kitna jala hoega yaar. Another aspect of women's expenditures, of course, is deodorants. Today, women's deodorants, they want you to buy deodorant with ocean breeze extracts in it. I'm like, isn't that like bottling a burp? And who wants to smell like Juhu Beach? Oh, the hues of roasted butcher with a hint of horse manure. And at least with women's deodorants, they'll tell us what's inside. Wild strawberry, Caribbean lime, some kind of salad is happening in there. We're quite aware of this. मतलब हमारा भाजी market चल रहा है वहाँ पे. But with men's deodorants, they just sell you concepts. They're like, gravity. I'm like, इसमें है क्या? Do I open the bottle and get sucked inside? Then there is, of course, skincare. Now, if you ask the average man, what is your skincare routine? They'll be like, Arey, I took a bath. But if you ask a woman her skincare routine, it's a test match. T20, no, it's a test match. You have to be prepared to be there for 5 days to listen. I started my skincare routine when I was 30 years old. And every ad was like, oh my God, it's too late. It's too late. The damage is already done. And I swear, I'm looking at my face on the screen as we speak, and I'm like, itna bura nahi hai. But ads, they're supposed to make you feel bad about yourself. And I'm like, oh my God, are these ads or are they my mother? कि आपकी स्किन ठीक है क्या? आपके अगर आपको पता है कि अगर आपके पोर्स पे माइक्रोस्कोप डालेगा कोई तो आपके पोर्स दिखेंगे. अच्छा कौन आके मुझे माइक्रोस्कोप के साथ ताक रहा है? When it comes to skincare, a woman's body is like a cricket pitch, because every 2 centimeters or every 2 feet there has to be a different player with different skill sets there for the game to work. Like hair wash, scalp wash, face wash, neck wash, left ear wash, right ear wash. I'm like, how does the soap know these things? Women's faces apparently are so delicate that we have to have 1/4 moisturizing milk. 1/4 moisturizing milk in my soap. मैं इतना दूध अपनी चाय में भी नहीं डालती. But my favorite thing about these ads is they'll always have 3 girlfriends who are hanging around in bathrobes in this super sanitized white environment, like human bacteria in God's petri dish. It's like a bathroom in heaven, where instead of tissue paper, you wipe yourself on a cloud, and instead of a dryer, an angel gently blows on your hands. At the end of it all, there's always one woman who's doing a foam dosa on her face. And she'll do one of these, the and then she'll say something ridiculous like, oh my God, it's like applying nothing on my face. And I'm like, sister, you know another way to apply nothing on your face? Just apply nothing on your face. क्या आपकी झुर्रियां हैं? क्या आपको सनस्पॉट्स है? क्या आपकी स्किन अनइवन है? रहने दो यार. Uneven is the new even. Happy Women's Day once again to everyone out there.
Happy Women's Day. And clearly, being imperfect is perfect. That's according to me. Aditi, thank you so much. It's most difficult to use humor to convey a meaningful message, and you've taken on that tough task. I'm sure when you first expressed the desire, Aditi, to take take to stand-up comedy, many people would have questioned your choice. They would have, probably said it's not for women.
Oh,
A
yes.
lot
I
of
mean,
Yes, a lot of architects today have told us the same thing, Aditi. Would you like to compare notes with Viraj Rupande and Usha,
yes,
as well
please.
as
Yes,
Gulpanat, who's also
please.
joining us now?
Yes, please.
There they are, all the ladies on the screen now. Go ahead, Aditi.
Hi. So, Viraj, I heard your reaction when they said, oh, but a woman will not last in the field. And now a woman showing up on the field every day to teach people how to do the things. What is the strangest reaction you've ever gotten while you were on the field?
मैडम दूसरा कोई आने वाला है. It used to happen. It used to happen, but not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, to be honest, I think I don't struggle to be heard anymore. But yes, in the beginning, we did face it.
And what would you give as advice, Usha, to anyone who hears this, young women who are listening to us today and who hear this? What piece of advice would you give to them? And what would you say to them if they came and told you this problem?
So I'll just repeat. So I would just be totally oblivious to what is happening. I would pretend not to have understood anything of the nuances.
Yeah, yeah. I realized that that's one of the strongest weapons we have. To be like, really? हमें तो पता नहीं था. Because when I started doing comedy, everyone would be like, अरे नहीं नहीं मत करो मत करो. My parents like were so confused. Relatives would be like, आपकी बेटी करती क्या है? My parents are like, खानदान का मुंह काला. पता नहीं इतनी नाक कटवाइए आने वाली 6 पीढ़ियां सूंघ नहीं पाएंगी. But today, they've seen me sort of grow in my career, and they are so proud. And so now, whenever anyone asks them, "कि आपकी बेटी करती क्या है?" My mother's like, "Standing comedy." She does standing comedy, which is ironic because I'm sitting down and doing this. But and Rupande, can you share with one piece of advice for women who are looking to get into architecture or even looking to get into unconventional fields? Because I think it's so important for us to hold each other up.
Go get there, girl. Don't stop yourself and follow your passion and dreams.
That is so important because I realized, at the end of the day, मतलब जब आँख खुलती है और जब आँख बंद होती है सोने के लिए, the only person in your head is you. And so you have to make sure that that person is happy. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult. And Gul, I just want to say I'm a huge fan and आपकी मुस्कुराहट जो आप दे के आए हैं लोगों को बहुत बहुत खुश करती है लोगों को. Thank you so much for joining us. Gul, you do everything. There is not one thing that I have seen you be okay at. How do you get the time?
Good evening, everyone, and it's fantastic to be in a panel with such accomplished women. And Aditi, well, the answer to that is I just think that life is too short and I have to do a lot, and I want to look back and say I did it all. But more practically, it comes down to a lot of compartmentalization and a sense of discipline so you don't let the compartment spill over.
Ooh, a sense of discipline so you don't let the compartment spill over. And this is the ladies' compartment. Thank you so much for having me, Maha. And it's such an honor and pleasure to be able to chat with everyone here. Have a very, very happy Women's Day, everyone.
Happy Women's Day.
Pleasure having you here.
Same to you.
And, I want to take that theme of humor forward because our next speaker has taken that route of humor, in fact, to overcome challenges. Let me introduce her now quickly. Amrita Guha, a co-founder and design principal at United Design, a New Delhi-based multidisciplinary design practice. Her work spans the dominance of architecture, interior design, furniture, and product design. She's committed to the revival of craft and artisanal ingenuity, authenticity, and sustainable approach to projects and products. When Amrita started, in fact, she noticed that functionalism was being eroded by lavishness. She then steered towards rationalism, a healthy middle path between minimalist and ornate. Today's stand on the theme for her is that she lets humor get that even in the uneven. Humor is what she resorts to for handling the unevenness of her personal and professional life. Over to you, Amrita.
We Indians have the most creative nicknames. My nephew named E.T. since my sister-in-law felt that the ultrasound image reminded her of Spielberg's character. Alphabetically, post that arrived FT, Financial Times, which they apparently faced, and his name stayed to tell the tale. Being a believer in wabi-sabi philosophy, the Hmong in me found the names to be the flawed beauty in them. The boys were adequately endowed with empathy, integrity, brilliance, and humor. Mark Miggins says imagination is given to us to compensate for what we are not, and a sense of humor was given to console us for who we are. The Eve factor in even to uneven, breaking the glass ceiling and the stereotype. So humor is my true savior, in personal or professional life. On your right is who my children think I am, but strictly in my imagination. On your left is Emi Chua, the tiger mother, who I aspire to be when battle lines are drawn. I have two teenage boys, let's call them A and B. Being born the year of the tiger aligned my thoughts. The tiger in me, tried roaring now and then, sometimes mute. Everything that I've ever done that's valuable is something I was afraid to try. These lines by Emi Chua evolved as my battle hymn. My commandments as an Indian middle-class mother lovingly captures the simplicity beyond life's complexities. Also armed with the skill set of emotional blackmail, OCD, and where oiling your child's hair is directly proportional to your love. Because I am thy mother and I say it so. Reality. On good days. A. You've been a great parent ever since you've been reading the self-help books by Dr. Sen. On bad days, having read the book himself. Please do not try chapter 8 in the current scenario. It will not work. Thou shalt remember to forgive thyself. Strictly applies to me and my vulnerable state. B. When asked that who invented airplanes, was met by deathly silence. Pointing frantically to my right arm in a fit of mild irritation resulted in the answer, oh, of course, it's right brother and left brother. He was only 6. Thou shalt follow your real passion, and not only for money, maths exam and visualization. Me. Miracles come in moments, be ready and willing. Wayne Dyer. A. Mom, I'm visualizing an Xbox. Post my 90% square. You need to visualize the same to afford it. Honor thy father and thy mother. Khalil Gibran says, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters for the lives longing for itself. He had no idea how authentically it's going to ring a bell in digital India. Life didn't prepare us for Google taking over all parenting skills, not responsibilities, mind you. Multitasking ease. However, we should pursue our dreams and not be apologetic about it. As Bhagavad Gita says, no action is itself evil or good. It's the intent that makes it so. All actions have consequences. My professional life. Thou shall keep calm on innumerable changes post good for construction drawings. Clients typically have brain waves post submission of GFC, which is our labor of love. And the innumerable alteration transform us into bonded labor, where love retires from the project and the relationship. Thou shall keep calm when asked for freebie presentation. This represents my desperate desires, overwhelming urge for the unreasonable and unbearable perception the clients possess. Thou shalt keep calm on delayed payments, even if it is 365 days late. I remind myself of Thich Nhat Hanh. If we believe that tomorrow will be better, we can bear the hardships today. No prizes for guessing. The left image is me, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, at the onset of a project. And the one on right is also me, at the completion, enormously patronizing my pitiful state. Thou shalt keep calm when clients teach you design. Pinterest boards take over the Facebook and Instagram obsessed clan who immerse themselves in the holy grail of design. Your presentation comes back with a counter presentation with politely and sometimes not so politely nudging you, often resulting in a catastrophe. Thou shalt follow thy dreams, big dreams and dream big. Always a huge shout out to our clients for their patience, tolerance, endless disagreements, and above all, their faith. Our dreams would remain dreams without our patrons and our vendors. These stepping stones make me who I am. As per Wallace Wattle, you cannot exercise much power without gratitude, because it is gratitude that keeps you connected with power. My home force, workforce, and my friends, whose unconditional love and dedication are the wind beneath my wings that helps me glide through these treacherous waters. My parenting Bible, in the most simplified way. My 14-year-old's Bible to counter every move that I make. But love is the greatest power on earth. It conquers all things, says Peace Pilgrim. And as Dr. Sen says, all you need is love. I was reprimanded for presenting terrible ideas. Since their adolescent mind is going through puberty, says B, it's uncool to project a badass image of an Eve. So as an ode to them, instead of my dialogue, look at the glass half full, I would modify it to what Thanos says. Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Many thanks. Politely put across a very stern message. Be professional. I think that is one aspect that women really have to deal with. And I'd like to bring in Aditi back into this conversation. Aditi, isn't that one aspect that women desire most, considering they are constantly multitasking? They want people to be professional so that the job, the task is done. We have Amrita and we are also being joined by Kano Patel. Would you like to throw some questions to them? Gul, of course, is still with us.
I enjoyed this presentation so much, and I especially enjoyed the aspect that you brought up about payments, because there's because हाय अच्छी लड़कियां तो ऐसे पैसों के बारे में बात नहीं करती, what is the strangest and sort of the okay, what is the strangest thing you've done when it's come to getting your payment on time?
When it comes to getting our payments on time, first and foremost, humor is the gadget that aids my credo, as I've already explained in my presentation. So humor has saved me on a lot of occasion when I have learned that the same conveyed with a dash of humor and a lot of patience is something that stands a long, long way. Because I don't think, apart from patience, we do have much of a choice when it comes to payments. So either you forget it or be patient and be calm. Absolutely be calm. We have to rewrite your agreement with our destiny. I mean, that's something that I totally follow by and I believe.
That's a beautiful line. I mean, I once was waiting for a payment, and I just did that thing where I deepened my voice, and I called back as Aditya. And I apparently I have a very manly voice when I deepen it enough, and and the payment came within 2 weeks. So now, whenever I have a payment due, Aditya makes a few calls, and that's how it goes.
Aditi, please show us.
One. Go, one second. One second. Hello. Hello. Yes. Hi. This is Ravi calling on behalf of Aditi Mittal. There is a payment due of INR XYZ, and we have been waiting for it for a while. And actually, we are trying to file our taxes in time. So we just want to make sure that the payment comes in. Will that be okay? Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Please, as soon as you can. Preferably sooner. Thank you.
That was amazing.
Believe me, in our case, this hasn't really helped.
Yeah, please feel free to give Aditya a call. I will help you out. Ravi and Aditya both will be at your service for this. Gul, I want to come back to your point about compartmentalization because that's so important. And what have you found yourself sort of like? What has been the most demanding compartment for you, and how have you dealt with it?
I think definitely becoming a parent, mother, to be more precise, has been the most demanding compartment. And I have a 3-year-old son who literally walks all over me, including like on me when I'm trying to do exercise. Or it's taken a lot of effort to get him out of this room right now. But yes, I think that's been the most challenging role because when you think you're the master of your destiny, you think everything just works out, and it often does. I mean, that's a separate conversation, I suppose. But suddenly you have this creature who doesn't agree with your worldview. Yeah, so that's what happens.
That is incredible, and actually, goes back to the point about patience, the point about sort of realizing that everything is not in your control, and you still have to be the best version of yourself in spite of that. And of course, I am looking very forward to seeing your presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. What advice would you have for people who are looking to compartmentalize in their lives? Because you seem to have sort of like I saw a bit of your presentation already. I'm not going to lie, and you've just had such an incredible long body of work. And what would your advice be to someone to last longer? What would be your advice to someone to make sure that they are continuously working or continuously sort of productive?
Good evening. It's a good question. But I would say first that one must not compartmentalize. It's okay for things to overlap. It's okay for us to be who we are. We don't have to be the superwomen, multitaskers. We just need to be calm, continue working. If we need to take a break, we need to take a break. Just to give a small example, when my son was young, and I remember running meetings, and he would need to go for birthday parties. And I used to hate the idea of sending him with a maid. And I have always said very truly, very transparently to my clients that, sorry, we cannot have a meeting at this time because I need to go to a birthday party. And I think being honest in that sense was one of the best things to do in life because I could balance things and not really try and make it into bits and pieces. So that's what I would say.
Everyone must follow, and I have to say, everyone must follow Gul on Instagram because you get to see her son on just being a weight on her back while she does push-ups, while she's making dalia for him. And it is truly sort of an encompassing of even being honest and even compartmentalizing at the same time. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been an absolute honor and a great ending to my Women's Day. I look forward to everyone's presentations.
Thank you.
take the conversation, Amrita, because there's one question I would like to ask. Amrita, you extensively use humor, as you just pointed out, and it just gets you by as well. But what is the other side to humor? I mean, that can be one side of the coin. What's the other?
So humor is the gadget that aids my credo. So, but honestly, we exist because of clients. So every project and every client that teaches you valuable lessons of do's and don'ts in your life. The clients are at a very vulnerable stage, where their hard-earned money is at stake. One has to understand and one has to be in their shoes as well. However, in spite of my banter, the on the lighter side of the challenges that we face, and I'm sure every woman faces, there are stories of grit and determination that defines us. Deadlines to be made in terms of design decisions, manufacturing, one snag in collaboration with a vendor or a craftsman can jeopardize the entire chain. uh, Bridal Asia, which we participated in the year 2000, was one of our early projects, and we learned a huge lesson from that, in terms of less is more, whereas capacity is concerned. And what I very strongly believe is, don't die with your music still in you. Follow your dreams and don't give up. As they say, space between the bars is that holds the tiger, and the silence between the notes is that makes the music. So
What a
happy
wonderful
Women's Day to everyone.
Happy Women's Day. Happy Women's Day, Amrita. Wonderful thought to leave your conversation there with. Let me now move on to our next speaker, that is Kana Patel. We've already given a brief introduction to her with that conversation with Aditi, but I'll give a slightly longer introduction to her now. Kana Patel is an architect and interior designer with over 30 years of professional experience. She's the chairperson, 8CP Interior Design Private Limited, widely regarded as a reputable and professionally managed firm. Her early career rather, focused on interior design projects in which she has established a nationwide reputation, renowned for her signature style of designed interiors that complement and indeed seamlessly blend with the architectural forms and spaces. Focus on detailing and integration of art in her interiors and architecture are trademarks of her work. As for today's theme, Kana's stand is that she has addressed the even and uneven in circular fashion. Her aim was never to follow that cycle or to break it. Her aim was simply to be able to find meaning in her work through the circular journey of even to uneven and then back to even. Over to you, Kana, for your presentation.
When I'm formally introduced, it is Kana Patel, an architect and interior designer with over 30 years of professional experience and a powerful portfolio of more than 300 projects. Widely known for my signature style for interiors across the country. As flattering as it may sound, but it often tends to overlook the story behind my journey. The story that will help foster a connection between you and me. I'm here today to share that story through the spectacles of eaves, even to uneven. As a younger self, with limited exposure in life, I remember perceiving the world and its subjects as a canvas painted in even. But as I grew and I continue to grow, this canvas constantly evolved with bold shades of uneven. But I had the sanity to not be overwhelmed by this uneven. I was not ready to paint myself in someone else's color just to travel that uneven path. I chose to carve my own path, following my own creative instincts. After years of experience, I perceive it as a feminine quality to observe the minute things in their general ways of life. That one shift in a dancer's glance as she pauses and looks up to create a moment for her audience. We are further able to process these observations to create an innate understanding, incorporating these learnings in a totally different aspect of life. I often leave my students stumped with the examples I share to explain my designs. Having my roots in a diverse country like India and an exposure to the global practices through extensive traveling and studies helped me better understand the contrast between the two. I came to know of a cycle that constantly went from even to uneven and then back even. My aim was never to follow this cycle or to break it. Let me take you through some of the metaphorical learnings and their meaning to me, with an aim to inspire you to discover more such meanings in our own ways of life. Nothing can be more Indian and iconic as a sari. What can we learn from this simple yet powerful piece of garment? Being just a yardage, the flexibility it provides, and in terms of styling, it is fantastic. It fits all ages and sizes. I aim to imbibe this flexibility into my designs. A simple idea can bring out an impactful space. Materials, colors, finishes, forms, shapes, textures all come together to form a simple yet powerful environment. Have you ever been to an evening aarti at the Ghats of Ganga? The sounds, the fire, the energy, and the environment. It passes through you as you stand there. I feel that you take back much more from such sensorial experiences than what barely meets your eyes. Similarly, there is a lot more to a space than what we just see that actually turns a moment into a sensory experience, leaving a lasting impressions on our souls. I strive to bring in such experiences in my designs, striking an immediate chord with its users. Everyone in the audience here must have traveled in a train, but were you ever sure of how the journey will unfold, the strangers will meet, and landscapes you will be exposed to? In that sense, I believe we are very comfortable with ambiguity and wish to carry that notion into our work. Through experiences that whisper a message and leave a tinkering thought in mind, long after leaving a space, I feel some things are better left ambiguous, letting the user's imagination complete the designer's idea. While driving in our country, you never know what might come your way and from where. Indian roads make the drivers intuitive, and similarly, Indian context makes the designers intuitive. Sometimes it is important to let your intuition take the command. While designing your space, go ahead with an idea that may seem risky at first. Work on it to fit it within your constraints. It will help create that unique identity of your project. Nature plays an important part in our lives, often bringing a smile to our faces, be it our childhood memories of sleeping under a tree at our grandma's house or going on a long drive in the rain with that special someone. And this aspect must be carried forward in our designs. I aim to create spaces that are an extension of our nature, blurring the distinction between in and out, and giving the users a chance to relive their moments. Summing up the experiences that I have just shared with you, I feel it is important to find your own meanings of life and thus create a path of your own, rather than trying to restrict yourself to even or making an attempt to travel the uneven path. I was never stuck in a circle, but rather flew high like a tangent, shooting towards the unending opportunities presented to me. I still question what is even or uneven for me. This question is itself the answer to my journey.
Many thanks, Kana. And there's a question for you from the audience now. What is that piece of advice that you have for young designers?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Well, truly speaking, young people don't like advice, but still, if I'm asked, I'm going to give one. So, my only advice to young designers is you need to take your profession as seriously as any medical profession or a lawyer. We need to think high about ourselves. We need to make sure that our first 4 or 5 years of our career, we learn under a powerful mentor before we consider flying on our own. And this is what will give us a chance to learn from the mistakes that someone may have made, or it may give us a chance to learn all the good things that we need to know to survive in this world. And that is what I would say. Because, say, for example, would you let a young doctor operate on you? Yeah. And we need to think as seriously that young people should take experience to create that high that you need as a professional architect or interior designer.
Absolutely. Many thanks, Kiana, for sharing that piece of advice with those who are watching this event live, especially students of architecture over here. And finally, let's now go across to Gul Panag, who needs no introduction, really. She's best known as an actor and a former Miss India, but that's only one aspect of her personality. She's broken so many stereotypes since she came into the limelight that she's stood out amongst many. And that gets reflected in her work as well as her public utterances. She can carry off the most sensitive and subtle performance of a woman seeking to save her husband from the gallows in the movie Door, to speaking her mind fearlessly on social media as well. Gul's take on the theme today is a path breaker and a path creator. Her core message is break the stereotype and identify the springboard. Embrace the uneven as a springboard to a world of opportunities that leads to a purpose. Over to you now, Gul.
Two words. You can't. What do these words do to you? Do you really think you can't? Or do you take a leap in the opposite direction? Me, I put the reverse gear and think, how hard can that be? Let me tell you why. I'm going to ask you all to do something as you hear me. Close your eyes and visualize a group of engineers in a room. Any kind of engineers. Just visualize them sitting in a room. Now, how many of you visualize all men? And how many of you visualize more men than women? Do you question the stereotype? Because I do. I was always appalled by judgments. Chimamanda Adichie has talked about the danger of a single story. Maths, gearless scooters, bikes or flying. I was determined to be an equal in a society of gender bias. This came naturally to me because I was brought up as an individual with no gender bias, as one who has the ability to do whatever she wants. I often wonder why riding a bike is such a big deal. My father's sister and many other women in my family have been riding bikes right from the 1970s. The ladies in my life have always been trailblazers. My unconventional wisdom led me to ride the uneven road more often than once. However, I did so by not being reactive. I observed, oriented, learned, decided, and acted. I've always had a map with a defined destination. Limerana D'Souza, my predecessor, who won the Miss India pageant in 1998, subsequently went on to study psychology at the Hawaii Pacific University. What opened up for Limerana was a world of opportunities. There it was. What to do next after you question the stereotype. Identify the springboard and understand that this launches you into a world of opportunities. All you need is for this springboard to be between your ears and clarity about the goal and flexibility about the path. My goals were clear. Ever since I was 5, amongst the many things that I wanted to do, I also wanted to be Miss India. When I realized the strength of the springboard, I knew what it could bring for me. Vision, voice, visibility, and credibility. My core message today is question the stereotype, identify the springboard, and off you go. But hey, do you always land in the right spot and in the right posture? Well, what do you think? Not always. We don't make it all the time. And that is the moment when we need to even up this uneven path. Mistakes have made me better. Post a failure, I've told myself, either I didn't work hard enough or I didn't want it bad enough. While fighting my failures, I've never played the gender card. I believe one loses credibility as a professional the moment we play the gender card. Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss is a lesson. As I said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Personalities, words, and my circle. I choose very, very carefully. I choose to be a feminist. Now, how do we perceive feminism? Tongue-in-cheek alert. An angry, ranting woman? Negative baggage? Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines feminism as the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. Now, what is negative about it? The person most likely to lead today is an individual who is more creative, intelligent, and innovative. True feminists make choices that uplift others. They utilize their platform to make a point, to support a cause, and to break the circle. Yes, I've walked the uneven path and set new milestones. At the same time, I've also attempted to pave this uneven path for those who may follow. Stayed focused on integrity and my value system, thus making the uneven even. I paved the uneven by making a conscious choice to put in extra effort to consistently create an additional line of accomplishment, be it flying or rafting. Using Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour principle, I have thrown my head, heart, and hands into all that I have pursued. I'm a mother, a wife, a daughter, an individual trying to be better. I'm a result of good mentoring. My role models have shaped me as an individual. I make a conscious choice to be a role model myself, especially when in doubt. On this journey of the uneven, I have not always had desired outcomes. My spirit gets its muscle by bouncing back and giving it all. Like I said, question the stereotype and identify the springboard. Yes, I have traveled the uneven road and continue to do so. Taken detours. I may not have always been able to take the intended road each time, but I sure have ended up where I intended to be.
As wonderful as always, Gul. Many thanks. Now, the natural question that comes to my mind, Gul, is that there must be so many young girls looking up to you as an inspiration. Is there any one mantra that you can share with them?
I think it's what I said in my, I think the second last slide or the third last slide, which is essentially that whenever you're in doubt, you must always choose to be a role model, because you may have opportunity that several others may just be dreaming about. So, in choosing how to act at any given point of time, it's very important that one is always a role model, because in doing so, you empower and become the wind beneath somebody else's wings.
And if I may, one more quick question rather, should one be practical about choosing a springboard or just go by the gut feeling?
The thing is, sometimes a springboard is of your own choosing. At other times, it comes your way. The trick, however, is to be able to identify what can potentially be a springboard and what can potentially take you to places that you never had originally conceived. I mean, you may have conceived them, but you don't know which point in life is going to be a springboard, which is why I say grab every opportunity that comes your way with both hands, because you don't know, the springboard could be coated in carpet or in flowers.
Absolutely. So you have to take each thing as it comes and take a call on what exactly at which stage can be a springboard. Many thanks, Kul. Your journey has been inspiring, and so has your presentation today. With that, we'll close today's event, but not before thanking all the brilliant women who made this event what it was. Absolutely stimulating. Many thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.